Well, hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us once again on the podcast. This week, we'll be interviewing Uxbridge General Manager Trevor Cox. Thank you very much, Trevor, for your time, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, fellas. Looking forward to it.
So, to get it kicked off and started here, what got you involved in the Bruins back in the day?
The Bruins have been a long time, I guess, kind of family tradition of our family. I can remember going to games in the very late 80s and the early 90s, actually, on Friday nights. Totally different atmosphere back then. We played on the other pad. There was still a smoking section in the arena. Just totally different times, right? And then my brother actually played for the Bruins from 1994 till 1996. And so same kind of thing. I was always the little brother hanging around, right? And then it came my time, and I was able to crack the Bruins lineup as a 17-year-old. And I had been an affiliate player with them 2 years before that. So I spent parts of 7 seasons, I guess, with the team, and just those 5 seasons that I played as a full time player were just some of the best hockey memories that I have. Some of my lifelong closest friends were made during that time. So I just, you know what, I'm a small town guy. I like small town tradition. I like small town hockey. So when I was approached by the club back in 2018 to, get involved at the coaching level, I jumped at it. I was very excited, and yeah, 8 9 years later, I'm still here.
What was one of your most favorite seasons with the Uxbridge Bruins when you were a player? I had heard that you made the finals a couple of times for different levels. Like I heard you made the Schmaltz Cup final one year.
Yeah, so 2001, 2002, yeah, we went to the Schmalz Cup final, and I would have to say that was one of my probably my most favorite year of hockey. We had a team that year that the nucleus of that team had been together probably for 2 or 3 years. And we just, we gelled and everybody got along. It's been a long time since I've seen or felt that team cohesiveness together that we had back in 01, 02. And we had a team that, I mean, if you wanted to play an 8-7 high scoring game, we could do that. If you wanted to tighten things up and have a 2-1 hockey game, we could play that style too. And we could actually go out, and if you wanted to turn it into a street fight, we had no problems doing that. I actually believe that season 2001 2002, we were the most penalized team in the entire province. And I think I want to say, don't quote me, but I want to say as a team, I think we accumulated 1,600 minutes in penalties. So teams now are winning, or I say winning, but teams in today's game are the most penalized team with, 800 to 1,000. Well, we were blowing those teams out of the water. But I also think, and I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there that can tell you, we also were top 5 in the province, if I remember correctly, for highest offensive output as well. So we could put the puck in the net. We could fight you in the alley any way you wanted to do it. We could do it. We had, I think, of the 23 skaters, I want to say 16 of us roughly were from Uxbridge, and the rest of the guys were pretty much from Stouffville. So it was a very local team too. And no, that year was a lot of fun going all the way to the Schmalz Cup final. I could do a whole podcast on that. That was just an awesome experience as a player, that you just never forget.
Explain some of the rivalries over the years during your time playing with the team and just as you were able to make it to that coaching level.
Well, the whole rivalry thing, I mean, I guess we'll start with Port Perry. I mean, for the Simpsons fans out there, Springfield and Shelbyville, right? Uxbridge and Port, longtime rivals. It's a geography thing. Quite often during recruiting, we're after the same players. And I mean, this has been going on, for 50 years now between the two clubs. Um, I do feel as though that rivalry is starting to soften, which I don't know how I feel about because, again, I'm a bit of a traditionalist. It's actually funny. I was having a conversation with the Port Perry general manager a few weeks ago, and I said, listen, I have nothing but respect for Tom Parrish, the Port GM, and what they're doing over there in Port Perry. But as long as I'm alive and able to talk, I will not let that rivalry die. I hate crossing east of Lake Ridge Road. It just drives me nuts. It makes my blood boil. And listen, it's all in good fun. And listen, I hope there's somebody on that side of the Lake Ridge that feels the same way about me. As far as other rivalries go, I mean, it tends to be pretty cyclical, right? Like it's always the teams that are fighting for first place. Back when I was playing, we had a strong rivalry with Georgina. We were always battling in with Georgina, and I remember there was a couple of years in a row there where it came right down to the last game of the season. Whoever won finished first place. Like that's how tight the standings were. And then more so as a coach, when I came back in as a coach, I feel like we had a real strong rivalry with Lakefield actually when they were still in the division. The first year I coached, they were coming off a Schmalz Cup victory. They had just won the Schmalz Cup the year before, and we came in. We had a very veteran team. We had a lot of unfinished business. We battled all year with Lakefield for first place that year, and that stemmed a rivalry. And I guess the with last year's playoff series with Port Perry, I would say that rivalry is coming back into fruition, which it's great for me. I love it. It a good rivalry gets fans to the arena and gets the players to engage and play just a little bit harder every time you're playing a rivalry.
In your current role as the general manager, is there something in particular that you're after or looking for somebody who's interested in joining the Bruins as a player?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, you got to be a good hockey player, but and I'll admit, I've been blinded before when I was working with Jason Simmons as just the assistant general manager and the assistant coach. I've been blinded by shiny objects. And what I mean is, the best available, I'll call him free agent, or the best available player that wants to come and play junior C. And I was looking at it from a talent standpoint and not so much as a character standpoint. Um, I have taken over as general manager, I've really started to focus a lot on character. And again, don't get me wrong, I want kids that can play hockey and have a high IQ and will go to war for their teammates and so on and so forth. But I want good people, because good people translates into going back to team cohesiveness. Good people, if you have the players out doing things within the community and they're good people, it helps. It resonates with the fans when they see how your players interact with young children at the game, or when you see them at the parade, or maybe doing the celebrity server at Boston Pizza, how they carry themselves in public and around the rink, especially where they're really under the microscope, is huge. So yeah, I mean, again, like I say, I still want guys that can go up and down their boards and finish checks and skate hard and put the puck in the net and defend their own net. But I want good people too, because I think and that goes from our executive right down to the players on the ice. And we have an outstanding executive, we have an outstanding staff, top to bottom, and I really want to bring that into our dressing room. Just good, strong character, because it I believe success on the ice starts off the ice, and you have to have the right people in the right places. And so that's what we're working towards.
Is there anything from a general manager perspective that you could provide in terms of an update, how the team's coming along, progression on the building of the team for this upcoming season?
We have 15 skaters and one goalie signed. Pretty fortunate. I had 8 returning forwards from last year's squad, which is an excellent start, especially when you get the 8 back that we got back. I was able to add 2 local boys in Josh Hall and Trent Nobes. They came home. They played junior A in Kirkland Lake last year. So that gives me 10 pretty strong forwards that I'm looking forward to having in the lineup. And then when you look at our defense, young Jordan Bonner's coming back. Tyler Lade is coming back. Both of those players made exceptional strides last year in their development and in their leadership as well. I was able to bring back big Josh Challey, the Tower of Power, back there on the point. He played with us a couple of seasons ago. And I mean, listen, going back to character, like that is a guy that will bleed for his teammates. He blocks shots. He sacrifices his body. He makes the other team pay the price. We have him coming in. We have young Devin Hollins, who's going to be a rookie with us this year, another Uxbridge kid. He signed on, and he is just that guy. That kid is a physical specimen. He is an elite rugby player. He's a heck of a hockey player. I believe when he was younger, he was a real good lacrosse player too. He's just an all around athlete. Really looking forward to having him in the lineup. And then, of course, our newest signing, I guess, Trent Warren, a 2005 defenseman that grew up in Uxbridge, played with some of our boys growing up in minor hockey. He's been off playing junior A in North York. Same thing. He's decided to come home. He's a beautiful skater. He's so fluent. He's got a high hockey IQ, and he's got a pretty lethal shot from the point. So looking forward to him. And then, of course, between the pipes, I mean, right now we've got Robbie Demiria. We're still on the hunt for I don't want to say a backup goalie, but we're on the hunt for another goalie. But listen, I'm extremely confident in Robbie and his talents and his competitiveness and his willingness to win. He's calm, cool, and collected back there. He's a very consistent goalie. Yeah, so we're strong in goal too, as far as I'm concerned.
If there's anybody interested or who may not be on the radar who's interested in joining the Bruins for this upcoming season or interested in at least going for a tryout or anything like that, what should they do or how should they go about getting in touch with the team?
Well, I guess the easiest thing to do is to email me. Players interested in coming to try out for us can email me at uxbridgebruinsgm@gmail.com. Or they could always reach out to us via social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. I believe a TikTok account is coming. Don't quote me on that. That's for the media girl, but I would have to say probably the easiest avenue is reach out to our social media and it will come to me. Um, I will pick that up through our social media girl and reach out. And our main camp for this upcoming season actually starts August 12th. We do still have some spots available. I'm getting excited for the season. It's looking like it's going to be a good one. Of course, we brought in the new coaching staff as well, and I'm real excited about it.
Well, this is your second season as a GM coming over from the coaching position. Just explain to us a little bit some of the transactions that have been acquired to come to Uxbridge or sending vice versa over to another team per se, and just the most recent trade between Port Perry sending Eamon Callahan over.
Yeah, so the trade with Port Perry, I mean, that was a tough one to do. Eamon came to us last year with a very good pedigree. He carried his U18 AAA team on his back all the way to the national championship. The kid was a racehorse. The kid's a competitor, and at the end of the day, he wanted more opportunity in net, which is totally fair. I understand where he's coming from, and I mean, I had a great problem on my hands. I had two number one goalies. I mean, who as a general manager, who wouldn't want to be in my position? Unfortunately, Eamon just kind of, I don't want to say he saw the writing on the wall, but he respected Robbie Demaria's talents as a goaltender, and he knew that at best it was going to be a 50-50 split throughout the season. And Eamon's looking to develop. He's still looking to develop and possibly move on to the next level. So he wanted to go and play in a place where he was going to get more opportunity from a geographical standpoint and from a standpoint where he had some buddies on Port Perry. Port Perry was his choice. Eamon was such a good kid. He was really good for us, always respectful, professional, and like I said, a strong competitor. I wanted to fulfill his wishes. I didn't want to be that general manager that holds a kid back and, makes him rot at home, because that's a pretty quick way to ruin all the hard work we've put in building a culture and helping push forward with the strong Uxbridge reputation that we have so far.
Well, a GM position is certainly one of the toughest to take on any hockey team per se. But when you're looking for a certain player or a certain individual to fill that spot on the roster, or say if there's someone on the other side of the league or from another league, say junior A, how would you scout that person? How would you look to see that he would be the right spot to play for the Bruins?
Yeah, well, there's a lot that goes into it. A lot of the times when free agents, say from junior A or even players from junior C become available, it's getting to be a little bit toxic in the sense that the first thing people look at is points. Well, how many points did he have? Well, okay, I get it. That's all fair. You want guys that can put points on the boards, but maybe I have an outstanding top six that are high that have a strong offensive output. Maybe I need a dog, or maybe I need a Pat Maroon, for instance, a guy that can play those fourth line minutes, get the energy up, just go out and be a hound on the puck, be hard to play against. So a lot of it goes into, I don't necessarily want the best player. I want the right player. So I, of course, do my own homework, whether I go and watch the player play or whatever. I do have some people outside of our organization that I have a lot of trust in, whether it's general managers or scouts at the junior A level or coaches at the U18 level or what have you. I have a lot of connections outside the organization that I use, and I'll just call them up and say, "Hey, I'm taking a look at player X. What can you tell me about him as a hockey player? What can you tell me as a person?" And then what I do is I try to talk to as many people as I can, do as much homework as I can, and kind of average it out. Because I mean, not if the kid's a bad kid, somewhere along the line, you're going to find somebody that actually really likes them, and vice versa. That he could be the best kid in the world, but somewhere out there's going to be a guy that's got poor things to say about him. So I try to average it out, and then at the end, just kind of make the decision on my own. And I'll be the first one to admit I've made some blunders as a general manager. I've brought in a few players that I probably shouldn't have brought in. Were disruptive to our dressing room. Were disruptive to our play on the ice. Had their own personal agenda or whatever. And those players typically don't last long in my environment, anyways. So I mean, like I said, I've made a few mistakes as a general manager, but I would like to think I've made some really good choices too.
From a league perspective, and maybe even just from your perspective, what's the discussion, or has there been any discussion about any interdivisional play coming up again in the seasons, or the crossover between the divisions playing each other?
Not to my knowledge, no. A few years ago, we used to do a home and home series with the East Todd division. But the problem with that was all those games were bus trips. I know it added, an extra $10,000 almost, or more in some cases, to a team's budget over the years. So it became a little bit of a financial thing for most teams. And the other problem I saw with it was I didn't mind it really. I liked the interdivisional play. They tried to get all those games out of the way early in the season so that teams didn't really have to be traveling up to 401, in January, February, whatever, which I understand and I respect that decision. But at the same time, it can get pretty redundant when you have, say, Georgina come into your rink 3 Fridays in a row. Do you know what I mean? Or, you play Clarington Thursday and then they come and play you Friday night. Well, that's where I would like to, insert a Napanee or an Amherst U or a Picton on, some night in December or January or February, just to break up the monotony of playing the same 6 teams over and over again.
From a scouting point of view, do you find that you can do a lot of scouting of the other divisions like in the season with time on your hands? Do you find you can make it out to other barns to check on teams or anything like that?
I don't worry too much about other divisions. And I know a lot of guys will tell you this. Clarington might not, because they've seen to have an easy go of our division over the years. But you talk to the Hanovers, the Mount Forests, Essex, Lakeshore, whoever. It's the hardest series that you will play in the playoffs are getting out of your own division, because you're so familiar with one another. So really worry too much about the other divisions. I'll take care of that business if and when we get there someday. But until then, and the other thing of that is too is I don't want to look too far ahead, right? Like, let's look after the business at hand first and foremost. And we'll do our homework, we'll do our research, our scouting if and when we get to that point in the playoffs.
If somebody's looking for something local to do in Uxbridge on a Friday night, what would you recommend they do?
I would recommend they come to the Uxbridge Bruins game. I mean, it's the best bang for your buck in town. It's $10 to get in. It's great entertainment. It's great hockey. The kids love it. You're up close and personal with the players. You can almost I've been told this when I was coaching and I had to dial it down a little bit, but you can hear almost every word the coaches are saying to the players. It's got that. I mean, I know you're in a rink, but it's got that warm hometown feeling to it, and especially this year with us having right now we have 6 Uxbridge kids signed in the lineup. Um, it's a place where the town can come together and get behind a team and support their hometown team and get to know the kids. And I mean, where else can you get that experience and that environment for $10? You can't. You really can't. You can't get it anywhere else. You go to a junior A game or an OHL game, they're not the same. They're bigger rinks. There's more fans there, but they're more spread out too, so it's a completely different atmosphere, and it's probably double the money and some triple. Yeah, if you're looking for something to do Friday night, listen, it's a strong Uxbridge tradition. We've been around since '76. We've been playing Friday nights since 1976. You can't go wrong. For $10, best bang for your buck in town.
There's certainly the new renovations that just underwent at the arena here in town. And what can we expect for fans wise during intermission plays? What has the Bruins been doing or planning to do in the off season that can help increase the experience for fans coming in on Friday night?
Well, I know just recently, actually, we've been talking a lot on at the executive level about just fan experience. We're trying to institute a minor hockey team of the night sort of thing. We want to introduce flag bearers. So, young hockey players from the North Durham Warriors, the North Durham Blades, or the Apex group, or whoever to come out, carry the Uxbridge flag and carry a Bruins flag around the rink and, be on the blue line with our players for the national anthem and things like that, where we have had discussions of I'll call it a light show, I guess. During player introductions and things like that. And yeah, we're really focusing on more community involvement and drawing more community into the arena for Friday nights. So like I say, whether it's we're talking about special nights too, like with the renovations, they're putting in the taller glass this year, which means they're removing the netting from above the glass, which is going to allow us to potentially bring back our teddy bear toss around Christmas time. Things like that. Theme nights, I'll call them, things like that. We actually have a home game this year on Halloween night as well. So, we're talking about, you come to the rink dressed in your costume, you get in for free, things like that. So we've got a lot of ideas on the go. I'm excited. We've always had a great, strong, respectable executive, but we've had a bit of a we've had a bit of a youth injection on the executive this year. A lot of fresh new ideas, fresh new connections, fresh new networking, and I'm really looking forward to see where this group of executive members is going to take us.
How's it been having Andrew Swan as your assistant? What has he brought to the table?
Swanee's awesome. Swanee is actually the first player that I ever recruited myself to the Bruins. So that's a little bit of a feather in my cap there. But he's a guy that and I didn't even really know him that well. I'd seen him play. I kind of knew who he was, knew a little bit about him. But probably about after his second or third practice, you could just tell that this kid, he showed up. He meant business. He was going to work hard. He was going to represent his logo and represent his town to the best of his ability. You could just tell. So that was after the second or third practice. About halfway through his first season, I said, that kid's going to be our captain someday. And lo and behold, about 3 years later, absolutely, he was our captain. And again, you could just see, and I tease Swanee all the time, when he was an overager, he was 21 going on 35 years old. But he was starting his own business. He was working full time. He was going to school to be a firefighter. And I was actually quite surprised when he agreed to come on and keep helping us. A lot of players just, they've been at the rink on a schedule for 20 years, right? A lot of players, when they're done playing in junior hockey, they just want to step away for a little bit, right? And, if they want to go skiing some weekend, they go skiing or snowmobiling or whatever. They don't have to, succumb to the schedule of a hockey season. So when Swanee came on, I was quite surprised, but I was very thankful. And listen, there's stuff behind the scenes that Swanee does that we couldn't run this team without him. And of course, Peyton too, his girlfriend there, who is our team trainer. But Swanee takes a lot of pressure off my back with just doing things like, he does some paperwork for me. He looks after a lot of, he helps Spencer Mizaki and look after a lot of our equipment. He's ordering new jerseys. He's getting tape for the boys. He's booking ice times. He's helping a little bit with recruiting and finding, helping me track down players and things like that. He's kind of a jack of all trades. Swanee can do it all. And of course, he's been on the bench as well. So he's just an awesome guy to have around. He fell in love with the organization, like I have seen young players, especially young players from Uxbridge do. And we're so happy and so thankful that, he has stuck around in the capacity that he has. And we just hope that he decides to never leave. I might not let him anyway, so we'll just see what happens.
What's the best part about being the general manager for the Bruins, representing the entire organization and just working with people like Andrew Swan and Jay Simmons?
Well, a lot of people that know me would tell you I'm just a control freak. I love being in control, which I don't mind it. But I love selling the organization to players, like when I'm recruiting them. Part of the reason I have so much love for the organization, and a lot of my friends make fun of me too. Some of them are like, geez, Cox, like you retired 25 years ago, like enough's enough, like leave the Bruins. But you know what? It's like I said, some of my best memories, all of my best hockey memories, and the lifelong best friends that I've made from being a Bruin, I want to bring that to kids these days. I want them to look back at their time as, man, those days in Uxbridge, I just loved playing there. I met so many good people, like I so many good friends. I had such a good experience. I want to pass that on, and that's what I love, is trying to build that experience. And I've learned very quickly too that, don't get me wrong, you won't. I'm not sure you'll find a more competitive general manager in the division or in the league than I am. But at the same time, and nobody wants to win more than I do. But at the same time, it goes back to, I want every kid to speak highly of the Uxbridge Bruins and the town of Uxbridge when they graduate or retire or move on or whatever. Um, I want them to have just as many positive memories as we do, points in the win column. So that's what I love the most, I think, is building something that kids are going to remember for the rest of their lives.
Is there a expectation for this upcoming season or some type of marker of success or anything that the team is looking to achieve?
Well, naturally, I mean, every year we want to win a championship, right? We want to finish first place. We
Right.
had a very slow start last season. We dragged our feet until Christmas time, to be honest, and it put us in a really tough spot. We were in sixth out of seventh place for a long, long time. First and foremost, I want to have a strong start. I want to have a lot stronger start. And I would like to finish top three in the division. I think that's very attainable. I don't see why we couldn't. Having said that, I would rather finish fourth than third. And people will say, well, why is that? Well, the way our playoff system works with a 7-team division, it's quite often, and I don't want to explain it too much, but it's quite often that third place team ends up with a first round bye. And we've had that bye before. We finished in third place, and it absolutely killed us because the kids sit idle for 2 weeks, basically, right? It's hard to keep them motivated. It's hard to keep them engaged. It's hard to keep the taste of blood in their mouth, I guess, so to speak. So, yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, I would like to push for the division finals this year in the playoff. Um, I think that's attainable. I think it's attainable to finish in the top three. And also another goal, again, going back, is I want the arena full every night. I want a minimum of 400 fans in the rink every Friday night. And again, with all our local talent and what we're doing, the ideas with executive, I think that's also very attainable.
Is there any talk of taking our division from 7 teams to 8? Because as I understand it, you're not the only general manager who's not too fond of finishing third in the division, and a lot of the other divisions have 8 or in some cases even 9 teams.
Yeah, so we are the only 7 team division in the province. I mean, there's always talk, but there has to be an expansion team. It has to be put in the right market too. Right now, this division, and I'll die on this hill. Our division is the toughest division in the province. Is in my opinion, and we should be with our proximity to the GTA. We have access to so many more players than say, um, a Kincardine or Wingham do, just because of the population. I would like to see an 8th team. Yeah, it would be nice, but where you would put it, I don't really know. There's talks of a team coming into Fenland Falls, talk of a team, the same team potentially, possibly going to Bob Cajun as well. But then that could leave another division with 7 teams. So, no, I don't really have a real concrete answer on that. Yes, I would like 8 teams. But until that comes, we'll do it this way.
And then going back here, actually going back in time, what kind of a hockey player was Trevor Cox when he played for the Bruins?
That's a good question. There's going to be a lot of mixed reviews out there. I'm not sure I want to answer this question, but I'll take a stab at it. I'd like to say I was very high energy. I played, I I was very hard to play against. I didn't have a lot of offensive abilities. Although having said I did score 19 one year. But that year I also had, I think, 236 penalty minutes. So I could do it either. I could do it either way, I guess. But I was always in guys' ears. I guess you could. I don't know if you guys would remember Steve Ott. I've been compared to Steve Ott. Actually, I was always in the other team's ear about something. I never shut up when I was on the ice. I like to think I was very strong defensively. I played center. So I was a very good defensive centerman. This is my own opinion. Let's keep that in mind. I used to be really good in the face-off circle too. But I just an energy guy, I guess. An energy guy that, I could score 10 to 12 goals a year and maybe give you 30 points on a good year. But you knew what you were getting with me. I was raised to just, no matter what you do, just go out and work your tail off and good things will happen. So I was a hard worker. I was always yapping at somebody. I was pretty dirty with my stick too. I'm not afraid to admit that. I grew up with a pitchfork in my hands, being a dairy farmer. So it was not uncommon for me to use my hockey stick like a pitch. Yeah. So I mean, I guess if that answers your question, I was a
Sure
little
does.
bit of everything, I guess. Yeah. I didn't play any power plays, but I killed a lot of penalties. If I did get put out on the power play, it was my job to stand in front of the net and take a physical beating, which I wasn't afraid to do either.
That's great, Trevor. We really appreciate your time to interview and just take time to talk with us a little bit today and some of the past history with the Bruins and what you expect going forward with the team. And we thank you again.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was awesome. Selfishly, I could talk about the Bruins all day, every day, because it's my passion. I love it. I wouldn't still be doing it if I didn't like it so much. And yeah, we're hoping to do good things, and to all the fans out there, get out to Uxbridge this year, because we're gonna put an exciting product on the ice for you.
Absolutely. We can't wait.
Sweet.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.